Hey, welcome back to another edition of Everything Football 62. I'm your host, Jonathan Big Tech Johnson, aka Uncle Tex, aka Professor Tech. Before we start, go ahead and subscribe to the page, like the content. Got any suggestions or anything like that? Any questions, concerns, or what have you? A little back and forth banter is all good with me. Leave it down there below. Hey, man, I'm just going to say it right now. I don't think I'm going to have too much of a disagreement with that right now. JJ, or, also my name. But Justin, my man, Justin Jefferson, he's best in the biz. Best in the biz is the wide receiver position. Best in the biz, bar none, and whatnot. And one of the things, the kid has phenomenal hands. It must be Velcro on them gloves because the kid's catching anything that comes his way. And I sat. This was like the game against Buffalo was the first time because everything else I pretty much had been watching. One or two other games I might have watched. I think it was kind of held in check pretty good, which is completely rare, which is extremely rare. But this I watched the Bills game from start to finish, and there was nothing that Buffalo secondary could do. He's making Kirk Cousins look way better than what Kirk Cousins is or ever would be. He has the ability to basically just chunk the ball up there and dude goes and get it. It doesn't matter. He's never per se covered. If it's a 50-50 ball, he's never covered. He's getting that. And that last catch he made, which the dude had the ball. The secondary, the defensive back had the ball. And he had it. He had it up against his arm. And when it came down, the ball just kind of went into like his other arm and he made the catch. It's like if his hands he's a receiver type. If his hands get on the ball, he's coming down with it. And that is what is so that is what's so powerful about how he's playing the position. 6'1", 6'2", 190, 195 pounds. I say about 190, 6'1", 6'2", about 190 pounds. Not a big of a frame kid. He's kind of a lanky type wide receiver, got some decent speed, stuff like that and whatnot. And one of the things I tell you guys all the time, I've said this before, and try to find a way or somebody can give a suggestion. I'm going to start putting my PowerPoints up. Some of you guys have been rolling with me for a little bit. Know that, what do I say, what is a Hall of Famer? What does a Hall of Famer have to do? And one of the things a Hall of Famer, in my opinion, some of the things is you got to at least play 9 decades. I say 9 to 10 years, right? At least that, the very least that. If you play less than that, your numbers have to be off the Richter scale. Your numbers have to be completely off the Richter scale in what you've accomplished. And if you play shorter than a decade, right? 9 to 10 years. If you play shorter than a decade and whatnot. And so these numbers and whatnot is coming up with Jefferson is doing is crazy. Now, and those are some of the things. So you got to play this a decade. You got to put up numbers. You got to be that's my first ballot Hall of Famer now. You got to at least be the top 5 at your position and make an all-pro first team at least 4 or 5 times. At least 4 or 5 times. Got to do that. First team and then a couple of second teams if needed, but at least 4 or 5 times, right? Same with the whole Pro Bowl thing, even though Pro Bowls don't mean shit no more to me. They stopped meaning shit to me a long time ago. Games not even worth watching and whatnot. I think they tried to do too much of the basketball mess up in there. The game obviously is geared toward that of offense, a straight up offense and putting up numbers. And all of that's going to really date all the way back to about 1977, 78 when they instituted the Mel Blount rule. Okay, because you can rough receivers up to no end, and if they still got the ball, hey, that's on them. That's a great thing. But one of the things, because I'm a stats guy, so you have to definitely do that. Playing some big games, possibly win some championships, playing some big games, and those big games meaning, a game like they had, good game and stuff like that, but also you have to also represent and some in those playoffs. And a championship can be the icing on the cake and whatnot. But you got to play sometimes. So a lot of times doing these types of comparisons and doing these types of when you start saying, well, he's this, he's that, he's all these other different things. But what that I look at the longevity thing. Longevity is big for me. That's why I say at least a decade. You're talking about playing from 21 to at least 31 years old. You're a completely different player by the time from 21 to 30 when you start hitting them 30s and whatnot. It's a different ball game. Then on top of that, are you going to still be getting the ball? Are you going to, a lot of things. So a lot of times in today's game, and I remember when OBJ did the thing he did, made the catch and all that stuff like that. And from a statistic standpoint of view with Odell Beckham Jr., I think he's gotten to this point in his career with these injuries and whatnot. With him, he's like a hired hitman. There's no doubt in my mind, had he played the whole game against the Bengals, he would have torched for like easily 10 catches, 2 or 3 touchdowns, about 150, 160 yards. You felt that coming until he got hurt. But OBJ got so much so soon, and then the injury bug hit him. And I've said this before because people say, oh, Kevin, and they still be trying to sprinkle in OBJ and what he's done. But I'm like, these guys get a lot, get this money, do all this thing, and then all of a sudden their career starts going down. And then the comparison, then all of a sudden you don't hear that much about it no more because the productivity is not there. And so if we go into the thing of let's say dealing with Justin Jefferson, you deal with this kid so far this season and what he's done. You're talking about so far in 9 games, 69 receptions, 1,060 yards, 15.4 average, and he has 4 touchdowns and whatnot. In his career so far, right? 265. 265? I'm sorry. Get to 265 catches, 4,706 yards, and 15.4. That's pretty much his average, and with 21 touchdowns. And he's been to 2 Pro Bowls. Hasn't? He's going to get it this year. The rating's going. If he keeps going, the rating is going. I dare say he may be like, and because the quarterback position is slowing down the way they was trying to push the quarterback position, because that is regardless of what anybody said, the MVP position, that's quarterback position. Period, end of story. Yeah, you got some backs that pop up in there every now and then. I've done a show that a while back about that. When I said that the MVP members just called it the most valuable quarterback in the league. Mahomes is putting up stupid numbers. Allen is slowed down big time with throwing those picks that he actually threw. Herbert hasn't done a whole lot, but that was like the early talk of that. You got to throw most people don't want to put Tagovailoa in there, but you're going to have to start doing that as well. But right now, I think the front runner right now in the MVP race, in my opinion, right now is definitely between Mahomes and Justin Jefferson. In my humble opinion, you go back to Moss in his first 3 years, because again, season's not over with, so he hasn't even completed his full 3rd year. But you look at what Moss did: 13, 17 touchdowns, he led the league, and plus he set the rookie record. Second year, right? 80, 1,413, 17-7, 11 touchdowns. And then in the end of his 3rd year, he led the league again, 1437, 18.7, 15 touchdowns. In a 3-year span, you're looking at someone who has, now mind you, let's go back to Jefferson. Jefferson thus far has 21 touchdowns, and he's played 42 games, I think what they got. 42 games that he's played, right? And in all that. So you go to Moss. Game. He's pretty much played all his games. He missed like games he started was 11 in his rookie year. Now, like I said, when he finished up there, we'll see what Jefferson finishes up with, because he may end up outpacing him on that. But where he's not pacing him at really is that of the touchdown thing. Is the touchdown. And Moss put points on the board in a 3-year span. You got someone that basically went 3-1. That's what, 33? I want to say, I'm sorry, 43 touchdowns. 43 touchdowns in 3 years. Like I said, with Jefferson, 21 touchdowns. Moss got in that end zone. And I will dare say it. A lot of people probably don't want to, may not want to hear it or whatever and stuff like that. But in the end, it's like when you start talking about these guys and whatnot, you're talking about, in my opinion, Jefferson and Moss had some hell of a hands. But I would dare say that Jefferson has better hands than Moss because he just goes up, he can just snag any ball, anywhere, anytime. Athletic, he's not seeing Moss. Moss could do anything. Moss could return punts, kicks, whatever, do reverses, take slants. He could do all that. 6'4", 210. He could do anything. That's what they call him the freak for. He could do anything. So Moss has him beat in all of those variables. Where they come down in them hands and going up and get that ball, Jefferson got it. Now, having said that, one of the things, especially in today's social media craze and whatnot, because everybody's a critic, even including myself, everybody's a critic. So what happens is that, but you cannot give him all of this stuff now, because this is just his 3rd year in the league. A lot can happen in the next 2 to 3 years. He could, because he's going to call for big money after the season. They're going to have to do something with the contract. He's already outperformed his rookie contract. He's done that and whatnot. The display he put on the other day, even with another great receiver with Diggs on the other side who used to be with him, because Diggs basically left. Money was a thing, but he left because I want to play with an A1 quarterback, and that's why he went to Buffalo. And he's put up some great numbers there. And Diggs is probably this year right there behind old boy and whatnot. Diggs another great receiver. He put up couple more years and whatnot. He'll probably be in that Hall of Fame discussion probably. But Moss got up in that end zone. He got up in that damn end zone. And like I said, when you're talking about 43 touchdowns in a 3-year span, right? So that's 10, 12, whatever it is, close to that amount that he's of touchdowns that he has. So like I say, so when you look at what he does, Moss, all the variables, everything that you want and have and whatnot in a receiver and whatnot, he goes over. When it comes to the hands, I'm going to give the nod to Jefferson. But as far as the points on the board, that's it. Just like Julio Jones put up some hell of numbers. He ain't got in the end zone that much, though. And it's about winning. In the end, it's about winning the games, but he's right up there. Don't give these guys too much too soon, right? Don't give these guys too much too soon. You cannot do this because when you're comparing the players, it's really when you try to compare these players, and I don't think it was done like that back in the day until the social media stuff come up. And, oh, yeah, he's doing this, he's doing that. And it's for the moment or for the year, for those first couple of years, and you get that big money. What happens because a person's mindset can change. Everything can change. You got to factor all of that in. Is the money going to change it? Is this going to change it? And if you look at Moss, and we go up and look at the things you've done with the Hall of Fame, 6-time Pro Bowler, 4-time All-Pro, and whatnot, and played about 16 years. And Moss, you would think in the 16 years that he should have garnered way more accolades than what he did. But Moss did go through a phase, by I don't know if that was his 3rd year or so, where he said, he take plays off. And that hurt him for a while. And then he leaves Minnesota, goes to Oakland, bad years there. And a lot of people thought, well, that's the end of Moss. I mean, that's it. I said, he's out. And it was questionable about being in the Hall of Fame, if he's going to even get to the Hall of Fame. And he eventually did. But he had his resurrection when he went to New England in 2007 and set the record, 23 touchdowns. And in that time with New England, just in that 3-year frame, is 7. That was what do you have? Like 7. That's 47 touchdowns. I mean, dude, this that was it. He could have basically retired there, which technically he basically did because he just mulled around after that, leaving New England, going to Minnesota. I think he went back to, want to say he went in 2000, played New England, Minnesota, and then Tennessee, and then San Francisco. He went to two Super Bowls actually and whatnot, and played a little bit. So by that time, he's pretty much at the end of the road. But when we're talking about that, so Justin still has a long way to go. Just like when we talk about the comparison with that of Michael Parsons and Lawrence Taylor that I did. It's cool to talk about these guys and look at the trajectory of where it could go. When that money comes, what happens? When it comes, what happens? When this comes, what happens? Do you change? So Moss had a detour because his first 4 or 5 years against this dude is the best, period. And then when he makes that statement, his career was going down, and it was questionable if he was going to even get back to what he was his first 4 or 5 years in the league and whatnot. And he set the league on fire. And I don't think it's ever been a long, just like Moss go past that corner, he puts up that hand like that, it's over. He just burned you for a 30, 40 yarder and probably going to take it to the house. His athleticism was off the Richter scale. So we gotta be mindful of that. Don't get his kid too much soon, but it's just for as the variables and everything like that. Like, no. It's like Moss pretty much checks up all that thing. And it might be, I don't know, but them hands, the young man, Justin Jefferson, he has those hands. He's sick with catching that ball. If it goes up there, he's coming down with it no matter what. That is what is so dangerous about this kid. He goes up there and he gets that ball. And that says a lot about him. And to compare him with them and whatnot, and even Minnesota Vikings jerseys and stuff look better back when Moss played as well. But it's like, nah, man. They right up there, but they give it time though. See what happens afterwards. See what happens after. See what happens for the end of the season in the next 2 or 3 years or whatever to put them in the same category. Because like I said, he's putting up these yards passing Moss. He's putting up these nice yards and everything. But where the problem comes into play at is whenever you do that, you have to also factor in when this kid gets his contract, what is he going to do? He got the little grit. He got the little gritty going, that little goofy dance and all that stuff like that goes on. But what happens when the money comes? Does he take plays off? Does he not catch the ball many times? Does Kirk Cousins just end up showing who he really is when he gets down to 30 or he's not getting the ball enough? Are we going to see him arguing on the sidelines with Cousins and all of a sudden this, that, and the other? I told you that even with OBJ was in Siberia. He played over at Cleveland. He was over in Siberia. He left the dismal Giants and he goes over to Cleveland. Then he goes to the Rams and whatnot. You're talking about somebody like, hell, at least Moss stayed there at least 6 or 7 years before he ended up leaving and whatnot. So look, let's see what happens. OBJ has not been the same receiver. When he's on the field, he's just as good as anybody that is on that field. However, injuries has derailed what started off, and that's why I gave the comparison with John Jefferson, another JJ, John Jefferson. And that whole comparison there, what went on, and now John Jefferson went for the bag as the youngest day of the day. He goes for the bag, and guess what happened? His career was never the same. He goes to Green Bay, then to Cleveland. His bag, he got the money, but guess what? He never was that guy from 78, 79, and 80. He wasn't that guy no more and whatnot. So you can have those first 2 or 3, those 3 years in the league, and all of a sudden it goes off the rails once you get the money, the fame, and the accolades and all that stuff like that. But then guess what? All of a sudden, the next 3 or 4 or 5 years, you are just an average receiver. And then as time goes by, and if you don't do nothing in that time, OBJ got a ring. Fine. I mean, you go back and I get a case in point. A lot of y'all might have forgot this. Go look up the first 5 years of Andre Rison and Jerry Rice. And it's almost close to being almost identical. I think Rice is going to have a little bit more, but Rison was on his way. House gets burnt down by old gal. She burns down his house and whatnot. Then he starts going bouncing from team to team to team to team. He gets up a cheap ring and stuff over there at Green Bay, does that. He was never the same receiver no more because your personal life you have to have a balancement with that and playing ball, obvious in that arena and whatnot. So let's slow it down a little bit. But if we're just going to compare, it's just like Freak got him. He got him. But as far as them hands are concerned, nah. Jefferson's hands is ridiculous. He's almost on some Chris Carter type shit, to be perfectly honest with you. And Chris Carter has some serious hands. But yeah, man. But he and Minnesota had some nice receivers. But this guy got like a damn, what's my man's name? Was it Jake Smith? Jake something? I can't remember man's name. He's a nice damn it, almost called his name out too. But yeah, yeah. But Jefferson, he's on his way. If he stays the course, we'll be talking about him 20 years from now. Is probably one of the top 5 receivers they ever played if he going the way. And I didn't be talking about Chase over Cincinnati, who's basically going to be out for almost the remainder of the season or close to it anyway. He's going to miss 4 or 5 weeks. I think it's hip or something like that and whatnot. So, yeah. So I just want a little 2 cents on that. It's a nice comparison and whatnot. But my man still has a long way to go before he gets up there to freak status and everything like that and whatnot. So it's going to be interesting to see. But as far as some hands and getting in that end zone, that's all about Moss. It's all about Moss. Hey, man, I can tell you guys all the time, there is no GOAT. There's no greatest of all time as long as time is still going on. And I tell you guys, numbers online get emotional. People do. You guys have a good one.